Okay, this is the same patch that we had running from the previous video. What else can I do to make this more interesting? I'm not gonna mess with the X and Y because this beat is good enough for me. But we can, you can increase the part density. I wouldn't want it just doing that all the time though. So how can we get it to vary up some more? If I turn up the chaos knob, that's going to add randomization to all three parts. But I have these fill inputs down here on grids. You can send them CV, which is control voltage, and it'll affect the value of this parameter. And so, if I pull out a cable and connect it to a modulation source, this module over here is 3 LFOs, low frequency oscillators. But there's one right here on the Lifeforms module. This has an LFO right here, and I'm going to use it because it has a light that you can see. You can't see that, right? Let me check the shot. I don't know if the light is hidden behind the knob. Can you see that? That light is showing the frequency of the LFO. I gotta turn this knob up. The light blinks faster, increase the rate some more, blip, 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 blip. And you can use an LFO to control lots of things. Just for a demonstration, it's got a triangle wave output and a square wave output, and they both are running at the same speed. To demonstrate this somewhere where you can hear it, I'll just patch this into the CV and put on the Cinnamon. And now you can hear the filter moving. And that is controlling it. Alright? Now as triangle wave is rising and falling, square wave is just like on, off, on, off. So if we plug that in, we get it's just going from high value to low value without rising and falling in between. I think for most purposes, triangle wave is more useful. Square wave is like for clocking things and turning them on and off rhythmically. It's nice that they have both. You can do two things and they will be synchronized. But if I plug this into the fill input, that part goes nuts when the LFO is high, but it goes silent when the LFO is low. But I don't want it to go silent for half of the pattern. And I don't want it to go that crazy. What we need to do is narrow the range of that LFO. Grids doesn't, and when I unplug it, it goes back to where the knob is set. Grids does not have attenuators built in. But, luckily, fortunately, with forethought and planning, I've got some attenuators over here in the other case. So, if I take the output from this LFO, plug it into an attenuator over here, drop cables all over the place down here out of frame. It's just part of the process. And then from the attenuator, I plug in over here. There's nothing happening because the attenuator's turned all the way down. There's no signal. I turn it up a little bit. We're getting the negative side of the LFO is pulling this down into silence. But if I turn up the knob to offset that, it takes a little bit of jiggering to get these things balanced out to where you want them. I don't want this to ever stop. There you go. And now the cymbal part is varying up a little bit. There's another way I could do this. Since this LFO is just free running, it's not like actually linked to the tempo coming out of here. And I don't actually have a clockable LFO, but I've got something else. So let's undo this. Yeah, let's just pull those out completely so we can see what we're up against here. Now, Grids has this second row of outputs down here underneath the first ones, and those are accent. They can be configured so it's like one accent, and then it outputs the clock tempo, and then it outputs a reset trigger, which would happen at the beginning of the, I think it's a 2-bar pattern. But I've got it configured so it's a separate accent track for each channel. And what that is, those hit, they are less dense than the main trigger outputs. And so they occur at rarer intervals, and it's much slower. So I'm going to take the bass drum accent output, and I'm going to plug it into this skinny little envelope generator right here. It's an ADSR, which stands for attack, decay, sustain, and release. And it's got a knob to control each of those parameters. If I plug this into the gate, the light lights up. Looks like it is staying on. That is because my release time is set really high. There we go. And it's happening regularly with every 2 blinks of the tempo light. So we got this metronomic. Now if we take that output from this envelope and plug it into that's a little too, that's a little too mechanical. It's happening every measure, every beat. So what else can we do? Okay. Might be time to call upon the assistance of another module over here. The clock distributor. But we are at 10 minutes, so